And here we go. All right, we're here. Okay, everyone, hello, and welcome to Lead Up for Women's Teaching Tuesdays. I'm very excited to have Wendy Yates with us today, and she's going to be talking about overcoming your fears and how you're able to find your purpose. So really, driving through what we think can be debilitating, which is fear. So I'm really excited for Wendy to be here today. And Wendy Yates is one of our members of Lead Up for Women, and this is the opportunity for her to step in the spotlight. We've said it 1,000 times. If you want to promote yourself and market yourself to be able to expand your brand and expand your company, this is one of the ways that you can do that. So always say yes, step into as many spotlights as you can. Don't make the same mistake I made back in my corporate world, where I was not stepping into the spotlights because the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So we need to make sure that you're constantly speaking up, sharing your voice, stepping into the spotlight. And any of you have the opportunity to do that with Lead Up for Women, because this is one of your member perks, which is showing up at the Teaching Tuesdays and teaching your own webinar, and we promote it and host it for you. So very excited to have Wendy here with us today. And I just wanted to let you know that, first of all, Wendy is talking about overcoming your fears, like I talked about, but she's obsessed with fitness, travel, and creating a lifestyle designed for living well. I love that, Wendy. She is a true entrepreneur and is a founder of Abigail-Elise Design Studio and WellFit Human Retreat. She's deeply committed to personal growth and having a positive influence on others via social and environmental projects. Her goals to do good, be fit, feel joyous, experience the world, create opportunity, and dance a little hip hop along the way are both inspiring in the foundation of her retreats. I love that you dance a little hip hop, girl. All right, ladies, let's go ahead and get rolling on this. Wendy, it's all yours.
Thanks, Colleen, and thank you so much for having me on Teach Up for Tuesday. I'm super excited to be here. Lead Up for Women is such an incredible resource, and I feel so privileged to be part of the community. And I want to say congratulations to those of you who showed up for yourself today. Before we get started, we're going to take any questions you'd love to ask along the way. I am a little bit unorthodox in the way that I share my presentation because I like it to feel really inspired. So if at any time you have anything that you want to say, if you want to just reserve it to the end, we'll be taking questions later. So a little bit more about me. Yes, thank you for the introduction. My name is Wendy Yates. I consider myself a visionary leader, designer, and yes, a cheesy serial entrepreneur with the ability to create and deliver communities, spaces, and experiences that change what people believe is possible. I've been the founder of many companies and currently the CEO of Abigail-Elise Design Studio and Interiors, and founder of WellFit Human Retreats. It's because I have failed so many times that I have succeeded to position myself in designing the life that I want. I hope that you get many takeaways from today. My mission in being here is to share something that sparks something for you. And if you do only remember one thing, I'd love it for you to remember this oath that I live by. And it's in life, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you design. So I'll say it again. In life, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you design. Next slide. There you have it. I will be using a few little memes here and there. One of the taglines I love to think about is pressure is a privilege. We get to choose what we do, and putting that pressure on yourself just creates you to be bigger and better. So next slide. So before we get into this slide, one of the things that I hear most when people object to anything, there are a lot of common threads, of course: money, time, location, resource, acceptance, confidence, or lack of knowledge. But ultimately, all of these are backed by one main excuse, and it is an excuse, and that excuse is fear. So as we get started and move in to today, I want you to take just a few seconds right now and visualize for yourself. You can close your eyes, you're by yourself, you can do whatever you want. But I want you to think of this visualization as we sort of go through the workshop today. And think about that everything you ever dreamed exists right now, exactly how you could possibly want it to be. Relationships, money, partnerships, philanthropy, there's no obstacle. Everything that you want to achieve, it exists right now, as if there was no concern, no excuses, and no fear. And so if you could just quickly take a few seconds and go there in your imagination and be presently there, that'll bring you presently here. So while you're there, think about this. Where are you? What does it smell like? Who is with you? Is there anyone you thought would be there that isn't? Are you surprised, or does it feel familiar? Are you laughing? Are you serving? It can be anything. This is your vision. There is no judgment. And just keep that vision with you as we move through our time together. So first we'll start with looking at fear and purpose and acknowledging and some of the acknowledgments around those words, as well as the steps that we're going to talk about today. So one thing about fear is a lot like opportunity. It never leaves, it just changes places. And what you give thought to is what expands. So when you know your purpose, you can shift your fear thoughts to that purpose. Hopefully that makes sense. Remember, keep your vision in mind as we continue. I seek to constantly learn, so the core pieces of this teaching today is a combination of things that I have picked up from my own mentors, coaches, and others that I intentionally put myself around or seek after. I've added my own spin on the presentation and the process of the delivery. But essentially, we're going to go through 5 steps. That is to define our purpose, get clear with our tools that I call gear, create your life, manifest your vision, and move into action to thrive. And this allows you to thrive in spite of fear. Next slide. So step 1, defining your purpose. So we're going to take this like a blueprint to help you begin your journey of fear versus purpose. And I like to start at the end and work backwards. And this has been a game changer for me and is why I'm sharing it with you today. It might not be super revolutionary. I had heard it many times before, but I hadn't fell into actually going through these steps. And when I did, for years, it took me years to really get on board with this. And once I did, it was a total game changer, and is basically the practice that I use for everything now. So starting at the end, working backwards to get a clear vision starts with the eulogy. And often we want to accomplish so many things and we don't know where to start. Maybe we have one really big goal or a lot of really big goals, but we can't get started because we are crippled by the fear of lots of things, as I mentioned earlier, but maybe not knowing how. But at the end of the day, all you really have is here and now. So I want you to really think about this step as we go through. And no matter what you believe, spiritually or otherwise, we all know that death is inevitable. And I don't mean to dive right into what can sometimes feel uncomfortable, but to get anywhere, you have to get uncomfortable and you have to know where you're going and you have to have your purpose and you have to have a vision. And that starts with, where do you want your life to end? What do you want to be on the other side? No matter what you believe. Do you want a legacy? If so, will it live beyond you? Who will be affected by what you have chosen to do? What impact will you have in the here and now that will not be forgotten? If you put in the time for this, you will be amazed at how your mind will shift around fear. This will create an opportunity for you to hold hands with fear and use it to dictate what you want your life to have by intentionally designing it. Step 2, next slide. So where do we start? How do we get focused to work on this? It seems super overwhelming. I will say that when I wrote my eulogy, it took me 6 hours. It was one of the most emotional days I think that I will ever have. It took the entire day. I cried for 6 hours, but in the end, my vision was so clear. So I came up with a few things as I was going through it, and I just shortened it for gear. And it's super simple. These are mindsets that we can use every single day. So we'll use this strategy to help you start on your eulogy. And then you'll keep it handy as you move every day and use your gear to get clear. The first one is gratitude. So the G is for gratitude. We all know that when we live in gratitude, everything opens up to what else is possible. But it is something that you have to focus on, and it is something that we have to remind ourselves. So when you're looking at your eulogy and what you want your life to mean and say, first start with what you're grateful for, and then you're open to receiving and you're open to giving, and gratitude then becomes a shield for you. The next mindset is on energy. What you give thought to is what expands, and I mentioned that a few minutes ago. So focus on what you want the outcome to be and not the steps, and then get fully present, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Next is going to be acceptance. And that's going to be multiple things. One of the things is recognizing, why are you afraid? Why are you afraid to write down this eulogy? Why are you afraid to do anything? What is fear holding you back from? Recognizing that and accepting it allows you to then decide that the why you want to do what you want to do becomes greater than the fear. And then you can thrive in spite of the fear. And then that's on repeat. So if you use your gear, repeat it to start your eulogy, you'll work in gratitude, your mindset around energy, accept the skill sets you have. You know, people ask me all the time, what is it that I want out of life? Well, in my eulogy, you know, I say, what I do every day is I change lives. And they might say, oh, well, you do design. And I'm like, no, I don't do design. I accept that my skill set is that I do this really well. And I have a love of travel. So I use the acceptance of my skills to create a platform to propel me to my purpose. So use your gear to move on to step 3. Once you've done your eulogy, again, it takes some time, it takes some effort, it takes some really physically, mental, and emotional presence. You'll have a clear vision. Once you have a vision, you have to create a plan. So we say, get clear to combat fear. What do you want your life to mean? So you start backwards and you take the pieces out and you simplify it to what you can do today. Income, family, health and wellness, being a force for good. And I'll show you later or at the end of this, anyone who wants some of the tools, and there's a whole different little worksheet and workbook from starting your eulogy to creating your plan and how to break it down to 5-year, 1 year, and 90 days. So we'll take our eulogy, we'll work backwards. All the things that we want to have said be complete at the end of our life, create our purpose and allow us to live in our purpose. And then fear becomes pretty much irrelevant. So create a plan. So step 1 is finding your purpose. Step 2 is using your gear. Step 3 is creating a plan. Next slide. Here's some of the outline categories that I use to work from my eulogy to my plan. So I use these categories of impact, finance, achievements, brands, and then networks, family, and relationships. Now, your eulogy can be whatever. You can be the person who wants to have 100 cats. That can be your thing. It doesn't have to be, it's yours. It's all yours. It's whatever you want it to be. And so then you would take your categories and apply them in that way. For me, having an impact is number 1. 2, in order to do that, I have to be stable. And 3, I have to have some credibility. I have to put myself out there. I have to be accountable. And then family, obviously, is very important to all of us. So those are the different areas in which I use my eulogy to then backtrack to create a life plan. And I start with 5 years, and then I work backwards to 1 year, and then I go to 90 days. What do I have to do in the next 90 days to make what I want true and my purpose 5 years from now? So again, there'll be a lot workbook for this, and then I can also share my screen and do an example after we have questions if we have time for that. So step 4 is then, of course, you have a plan. You must manifest your vision. So next slide is all about the vision board. And vision boards, I want to say, are not cheesy. They super work. Forget what other people say. This is your life. The difference with this vision board is your eulogy will go smack dab in the middle, and you'll look at it every single day. You'll put images, sayings, whatever reflects your life plan, not your wishes, not what things you want to have, but what reflects your eulogy. What do you want your life to mean? That is your purpose, and your vision board is all about your purpose. And then the next thing you do is you frame that freaking thing. You don't put it in a cardboard and stick it on the side of your bed or pull it out or flip it through a journal. You frame it. You incorporate it into your environment. You integrate it into your life. You take a photo of it. You keep it on your phone so that any single time someone tries to divert you of your purpose, you have a reminder of what you want your life to mean. My vision board, it sits in my bedroom, hangs on my wall in my bedroom. I have to look at it every single time I get in and out of bed, every single time I go to the bathroom. And yes, my daughter can see it. My husband can see it. I don't hide it. Anyone that comes to my house can see it because I don't care. I don't care. My purpose is to change lives. That purpose is greater than anything anyone else could say to me. So fear is irrelevant. I'm not afraid of not knowing. I'm not afraid of not having the money. I'm not afraid of what someone else might say because my purpose is greater than the fear. You'll thrive in spite of it. So vision board, super important. Step 5, action and vulnerability. I think this is super important because you're already vulnerable by creating your eulogy. But if you don't tell people what you want your purpose to be and you live in a tunnel, the fear just becomes overwhelming. Like, I just can't accomplish it. Even though I put it out there, I went through all these steps. I used my gear. I work in gratitude. I have acceptance. And my mindset and energy is focused. And I'm doing it on a repeat. But if you don't get people that are your people, it starts to become overwhelming. So step 5 is you are not alone. Stop acting like it. Seek a personal coach, a business coach, a group like Lead Up, mastermind group. It is worth every single dollar you could ever possibly think of spending 10 times over again. Share your purpose. Who cares what other people say? If you're sharing your purpose with people and they don't like it, get new people. This could be, so you can't get a new family, but you know what you can do? You can level them up to what you think. People around you, like your kids, your family, your sister, your brothers, your partners, they might not get on board right away because they haven't learned what you're learning. Don't level down to them. Be stronger and make them level up to you by showing them what you are capable of. You can only do that with a network of people who will champion you and surround yourself with people doing the things that you want to do. It's harder to let fear win when you share and allow yourself to be part of a team. So actively find ways to embrace this. Get out of your own way by using your gear, your gratitude, your energy, your acceptance on repeat to help you work through every excuse with your team. Next slide. So this was a quick, brief overview because I want to be able to go back and share a few other things and talk about questions. But first, before the close up or the wrap up, what we did is we faced fear, we found our purpose, and with that, you'll want to develop, people call it a mission statement or vision statement, or I call it an oath. And so I hope that during this overview of the steps and in the time that will continue throughout this hour, that you'll find something that will lead you up in a direction that you may not overcome fear, because if it's not scary, you're not doing it right. But then you will thrive and create a world that you want to live in by defining your purpose. So until you find yours, feel free to use mine. In life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you design. And I have another slide I want to share because it didn't really fit into this whole message 100%, but it is super relevant. And it really helps me think about overcoming fear and living in my purpose. And this is just a clinical factual study that of your conscious mind, you're using 12% of it to think, plan, analyze your willpower, but your subconscious mind is 88%. That has emotions and feelings, beliefs, values, habits. These are things that you grew up with or were taught to you or were imposed on you by somebody else. And if you use your gear, your gratitude, your energy, your acceptance on repeat, you can shift your subconscious mind, those beliefs, values, and habits into your purpose and create a willpower that allows you to overcome your fear. Again, start at the end, work backwards. What is your purpose? What do you want your life to mean? Step 2 is use your tools, the gear. Step 3 is creating a life plan. Step 4, step 4 is, my brain just went dead. Step 4 is manifesting your vision, the vision board, so important. And step 5 is moving into action, putting people around you and in your space to help champion you. And so that's sort of like my quick down and dirty on the 5 steps to overcoming fear and living your purpose. And I would love to open it up for any questions.
You guys should be able to take yourself off mute, or you can go ahead and put a question in the chat if you have one. I'll make a comment while people are thinking about what they want to say. I think it's absolutely brilliant to, you're speaking my language for one. I love this. It stands for everything Lead Up for Women stands for and why we're here. And I love that you talk about what do you want to be known for? You know, I talk a lot about when you're on your deathbed and you're getting ready to die, what regrets do you not want to have? Right? What are the regrets we don't want to have? We don't want to be on our deathbed saying, I wish I would have spent more time with my kids, or I wish I would have traveled more. I wish I would have started that business, or I wish I would have, right? What are those things that you can do now because we only have one life to live? I love the eulogy. That's beautiful. It's so clear for everyone to understand. You know, what do you want that to say about you when you're gone? What is that legacy that you're leaving? And do something about it now in life, you know, because this is our opportunity. That was beautiful, Wendy.
Thanks.
I want to make sure that people can unmute themselves if they have the opportunity to.
And you're welcome to put any questions in a chat. Also, I know this kind of went through a little bit faster than I planned, so I'd be happy to share a little bit more details on the life plan. For me, it's really, the life plan is about taking what you want your long-term plan to be and working backwards. So it's really easy to do. It feels a lot less overwhelming when you're focused on 90 days, but if you can start at the end and then put that into perspective of a timeline, it really helps you to really overcome any objection or excuse of fear, because you're just focused on your plans. If you can just say, I'm looking at this plan every day, I'm going to do these things every day for the next 90 days, it's amazing the transformation that will happen. And then again, the fear changes places, it moves, but you're no longer afraid of the thing that held you back in the beginning of the 90 days.
Sorry, we have a question. I'll go ahead and read it to you. It says, did you involve your partner and our children in the development of your plan?
I didn't involve them. Like, I didn't ask them any questions on what they wanted, because that's their plan in their life, but I did include them in my plan. Like, I included quality time or having, spending the time with my husband to develop a more loving, long-lasting connected relationship was what part of my family plan, and I was more specific to that. But I did share with them my eulogy. I've shared with team members my eulogy. I have it where they can read it. And I see it as that's my personal, what I want from my life, and I want to bring them with me, but it encourages them to create their own life plan and realize that we can all as individuals have and create the dreams and culture we want for our life without having to impose what we want on them. This is just saying, this is what I want for us. So I included them in that. I've definitely shared it with them. They can see it every single day. But I think it's really important to keep what it is that you want for your life purpose, your eulogy, to be first. And then I encourage my husband to write his. My daughter's only 15, but I have encouraged her to write hers. And then, we can work together for ours to align together, and then we can have a joint life plan. You can have your life plan and then your joint life plan, or there can be a section of your life plan that's, this is me and my family together, or this is me on my own, and sort of wove it together and really get a clear picture of, okay, how can my purpose integrate with my family purpose? Because we do tend to find ourselves a wife or a mother or whatever it is, and we want to do the best for our family, but we have to put ourselves first and our purpose first.
Thanks, Wendy. And then Deb had the question, and Betsy, we hope that answered that for you. And if not, please, feel free to chat again or ask a different question. Deb asked, how did you start the eulogy? Do you have some example questions or thoughts that seems overwhelming to her?
Yes, absolutely. So it was very daunting, I will say. And after anyone who participated in this call, I'd be happy to send them the workbook that's sort of the prompting questions, and then the map, outline life plan map that they can utilize as a template. And it has some examples in there. But one of the things that I started with is I started looking at people that were doing things that I wanted to do. And I started saying, that's what I want my life to mean. And so I sort of started bullet pointing all the things of people that I admire. And that's a really great place to start, because it's not like you're taking their life. There might be somebody out there doing something you want to do, and that should be an inspiration for you to realize that you can do it as well. And so that's the first thing that I did. The second thing I did is I did work with someone, a mentor that I admired, and it was very difficult. It was very vulnerable, but it made me really speak more of a truth out loud to someone else that I admire and trusted to help me get through it. It definitely is harder than doing it on your own, but I think from that point, you can then take it from that time and really help develop it even beyond that. And so another idea is to look at people that have passed and what was said about them, and would those things resonate for what you would want to be said about you. And I think those are 3 really great ways to just get started. Being open to what is possible, being vulnerable and working with somebody, and sort of just starting with looking at people that you really respect and admire and what they're doing, and would you want that to be part of what is said about you?
Yeah, and I guess we need to look at who would be the people speaking at our funeral, right? Who's going to be doing the eulogy? And if you think of the closest people in your life that you would want up there, what are they going to say about you? Maybe even ask them the question, what would you say about me right now if I died tomorrow? What would that look like, right? And if they say if it's bleak, I guess, to what you're expecting it to say, you're like, wow, this is what I would really want them to say about me, right? So, and I'm sure there's a lot of emotion behind that. It's tough to write about not being here anymore, and all that flood of emotion of leaving the people that we love, and then what are we known for? What is our legacy when we die? So I can imagine how emotional that is. We have several questions, so I'm going to keep going as fast as I can here, Wendy. The next one is, can you give an example of a situation at work where you felt the fear presented and you did to fight it and move forward? So what the fear presented itself at work, what did you do to fight through that, to move forward?
I think I feel fear every day. Just because you know your purpose doesn't mean fear doesn't exist. Like I said, it just changes places. But when you're really strong in what you want to accomplish, the reason why becomes bigger than the fear. And so anytime I work with a new client, or look for a new investor, or have to deal with something difficult in my team, within the team, it's always fearful. But I think the practice of always in my mind, because I look at this eulogy, I look at this purpose daily. That's why the vision board, not cheesy, never cheesy. I don't care what anyone ever says. It's not freaking cheesy if it works and you are living the life you want to live. And so I get to see it every day. So the way that I move forward and fight it is that every morning I look at this board, and that stays in my mind. It stays in my mind. I can reference it anytime. I shared my personal eulogy with my team members. And that was super scary because, as a leader, I had to put myself out there and be vulnerable to them. But I wanted to say, listen, this is what I'm about. This is why I do the things that I do. If you're not on board with this, get off the boat because you're not going with me. And so I think the way you fight through it is, again, visualize it, put your vision, put your purpose in your vision, and get a team of people that support you. You're still going to have people in your life because they're people that you love and you can't change who your family is that aren't going to get it. But it doesn't matter. They don't have to get it. So, when I am presenting to a new investor or client, I'm always afraid that they're going to think that maybe I don't have enough knowledge, maybe I don't have enough experience. But because my purpose is so important to me, I have to be able to say, I'm okay with that. They're not going to be the people that I work with. I don't know if that's a good example or not.
Yeah, it is, Wendy. Thank you. And Wendy, if I have your permission, I'll share a personal story quickly. And many people already know me very well in this community. But as an example of something that happened in my life when I left corporate, I was very scared. Tanaz, I hope I'm saying your name right. I think it's Tanaz. I was really scared. And I had a lot of fear of leaving my very cushy job to go and run this business because there was some unknowns, right? Unknowns on how well it was going to do, unknowns on how much money I was going to be able to make. There was a lot of unknowns and I had a lot of fear. And something that's very comforting to me as I run into fear is looking backwards to all that I've accomplished. What have I not been able to accomplish? Writing down the things I have accomplished. And then when you start taking inventory of that, you realize, wow, there's very few things, if any, I've not been able to accomplish in my life that I put my mind to. And that for me helps settle my fear of knowing I'm anxious because I'm looking into the future and I have the fear and I'm uncomfortable because I'm growing, but knowing that I can do this because look how much I've been able to accomplish in the past gives me that confirmation moving forward. So I hope those stories helped you realize. Tanaz also asked, can you also give me some tips on picking a mentor? I'm struggling to find one, not sure how to find one, what approach to take for a plan with a mentor. That's a great question for Wendy. Thank you.
That's an amazing question. So I looked for several months, and it takes a little bit of research and trial and error because there are a lot of amazing coaches and a lot of amazing mentors out there, and the right fit is super key. And so my approach was not super revolutionary. I trolled the internet and I looked on Instagram and I looked for people that were inspiring me. And one of my mentors, I actually followed her for several months, and it took a lot of courage. But again, I went back to what is my purpose? Like, there's no time to waste. So, and you can try somebody and say, oh, I really love what you're doing. I'm looking for a personal mentor. Would you be interested in having a conversation? Almost every single mentor or coach out there will give you that opportunity to meet with them and determine if it's a good fit. And then typically, you say what you're looking for. What are you trying to achieve? And they'll work through a plan and give you all of the necessary things to help you. A good mentor will give you that approach and work with you on coming up with an approach together. And right now there is a sea, and it can be super hard to pick. So I would say start in whatever industry you're in, or what industry you want to be in, or where you want to change to, or something that's really, really weighing heavy on a desire or a heart for you, and Google search. I mean, Google is king. It sounds silly, but it's definitely how I have found my mentor, who has been an incredible resource and a game changer for me on all areas of my life. So troll the internet.
Thanks, Wendy, for that. Okay, next question. Having worked in an almost toxic work environment and women not lifting up women, but holding them back and hurting confidence, any suggestions to move forward or help to change perceptions?
The best thing, again, is just defining your purpose and making that the most important thing. I know I sound like a broken record, but when you set the example and ignore the noise of that people, it's just because they don't know. And people who haven't figured out what it is their purpose, they're going to want to hold you back from your purpose because they don't want you to leave them behind. And it's not that they're trying to intentionally be hurtful or negative. That's just what they were taught. That's their subconscious mind. Those are the limiting beliefs that someone put upon them. And so then they're trying to transfer that onto you. The number one way is to work through these steps. Stay in gratitude. Keep your mindset on your energy about what your purpose needs to be. Accept the skills that you have, use that as your platform, and work that on repeat. And then surround yourself with other people. There are going to be people you're not going to be able to get away from. If you're in a job or a situation that's not a lift up situation, when you're not in that space, if you have to be in that space right now because that's your income, go find another outlet where those people are different, and you don't have to have the same types of groups of people. Attract the type of person that is already doing what you want to do or has a mindset that you have. And then when you're around the negative people, reverse it and show them how you're living your life. It will take time, and some of them will never catch up. And some of them will never get away from their own limiting beliefs. But if you know your purpose, you can create this plan. You can surround yourself with the people that think like you, and then the people that are in your life that are that negative influence, they'll start to look at you as like, oh, well, what I'm saying isn't affecting her. She's doing it anyways. And hopefully they'll level up to you. You always want to remember this. Never level down to what anyone else's limiting beliefs are, because they're typically about themselves, not about you.
I love what you said, and I want everyone to take a note about that. She just said they'll level up to you, don't ever level down to them. And that was advice I got because I worked in a toxic environment in corporate like that, where I had women that were kicking me off the ladder and pulling me down. And someone said, if they're pulling you down, what position are they in? They're beneath you. So we never want to go backwards. You know, we're up here, and that type of competition and comparison and judgment is really about them. It's not about you. That's awesome, Wendy. Thank you so much for that. Let me see. I'm going through here. Oh, Chana said,
Can I add something?
Yes. No, thank you.
Yeah, so the last part of what you were talking about, Wendy, really resonated with me, is that surround yourself with the people that, you know, are uplifting and or, you know, on your level. And I found that through Lead Up for Women. In just a few months of being in their community, I felt such a support system from everyone. And like, you know, no one's pulling another down or trying to do better than the other. So I just want to say it really is important to like surround yourself with the people that will support you and your vision. So well said. It definitely, it's across the board for everyone.
Thank you. That's amazing. And I know, I feel like I've been hearing that my whole life, but it is 100% super true. You know, if you need people in your life that are supportive of you and you don't have those, go find them. It's worth the effort. I know for me, just a little story, a lot of years I spent super alone because I wanted to do things that I think no one else wanted to do, because the immediate people that were either in my community or, I mean, I tried all different types of organizations, and it took a while, but and then I went through a period of time where I stayed alone because I'm like, there's just no one else that wants to build the ideas that I'm building. But there are. You just have to look in the right places and put yourself out there. You have to get vulnerable. You have to get honest. It's hard to do because society wants to put us in a little box of here's what you're supposed to be, here's how you're supposed to act, and oh, you have this great big idea and you think you can go change a million people's lives. Well, you can't, because no one does that. That's for this type of person or that type of person. Those types of people, again, are just they're fed the same thing as you were. And so I found myself down a tunnel, a very lonely one. And so I really want people to feel inspired that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to share your purpose. It's okay to speak it over and over and over again, and get really clear, because when you do, you'll automatically start attracting those people, because you'll stop percent of all the other things you were previously taught. It'll move you to the 12% of like, I'm attracting these things because this is always on my mind, because what you give thought to expands. So that's amazing. In communities like this and Lead Up for Women, it is all about inspiring and empowering. And there is nothing silly. There's nothing too small. There's nothing too big that you cannot accomplish. If you can think it and dream it and visualize it, then you can accomplish it. You just need to get clear about what that is and stop letting limiting beliefs and other people hold you back by finding the people that won't.
I feel like we need to do a standing ovation for that right there. That was amazing,
It was a
Wendy.
rant.
Yes, you should have just dropped the mic right there and said, drop the mic. That was amazing. And I hope every single person on live on Facebook, which I know we have plenty of people joining us right now live on Facebook that are leaving comments. And for all of you on this Zoom call today, those were very inspiring words. And it's so true. You can't, right, Wendy, wouldn't you say you have fears every day and we run into those people every day? You start really noticing the negative, toxic people in your life when you are super clear on being positive and surrounding yourself with only positive people. When you get in that mode, you start recognizing people that are saying those negative things and you're like, I can't, you're out. I can't do this. I can't have you in my life. And I even hate to tell people, sometimes it's some of the closest people to you, like parents or family members that don't support you. That's really hard. My family didn't support me when I was leaving corporate. They were like, you're crazy. I was like, well, I guess that's more fuel in my fire to show you that I can do it, you know? And that was great, Wendy. I hope everyone wrote that down because that was fantastic.
Yeah, it will be people that are closest to you, especially when you start to get clear, because it's a change. They're seeing you change and they're not changing. And again, if you set the example, a lot of the times they will follow, or they'll stop saying those negative things because they see subconsciously that it's not holding you back. So awesome.
And they're not always ready to change when you are. So sometimes they get uncomfortable with that. And they don't recognize the person that you were, right? That you're becoming because they liked the person you were. And some people like to feed off of things that are happening to them in life. That's kind of their, they feed off of that. And that's where they're comfortable living. And if you're talking about things like, I can change my life because it all happens for me, and we can change the way our future looks and what our eulogy looks like, they don't believe that. So they're not taking that journey with you. And it's hard to separate. It's very difficult. And sometimes it's separating from a career, which is what I did. So big changes in our lives I see coming up here, Wendy, for some women that are on the phone and that are here on Zoom and listening. Does anyone else have any more questions? Those were amazing questions that Wendy was able to give perspective to.
Amazing questions. Thank you. Any question is welcome, no matter what. Again, my mission is to hopefully one thing that I say helps impact you in a way that puts you in a new position to make your life the life that you want. I do have a little workbook that goes along with this slide. It's not a workbook, it's more like a 3-page worksheet, but anyone that participated today is interested in it. They can just shoot me, or I think we have a list, and you can shoot me an email at wendy@aeinteriorsinc.com, and I'll be happy to forward that life planning sort of eulogy starting workbook. It really helps simplify it, and then really helps give you that 90-day chart, and really shows you how easy it is once you're clear to just work on 5 or 6 things in each category for the next 90. They're really easy things. Even when I did mine, I'm like, that's it. That's all I have to do. It seems like that's not enough. So it really simplifies it. So I'm happy to share that with anyone who's interested in it. I'll just pop it over to you in an email.
Yeah, that's great. We had a couple people ask about getting a copy of the workbook. So now you guys all heard how to get a copy. And Katie, if you're still on here, if you could pop in Wendy's information here, like her email address that she just mentioned, if you could pop that in the chat, then that will give everyone an opportunity just to copy and paste Everyone's asking for the workbook. Yes, workbook for me, me. So yes, Wendy,
Yeah.
you've got some people, and Katie just put your email address in the chat. So for all of you that are on Zoom here, you can go ahead and reach out to her. And then Katie, if you want to as well, on Facebook, if you wanted to pop her email address into Facebook, where we have the video playing in the Lead Up for Women community, that would be a great opportunity for you to do that as well. Sound good? All right, ladies, wonderful. Well, if there are no more questions, and Wendy, is there anything else that you wanted to share with us before we wrapped up today?
I just want to say thank you to everyone for your time, and I'm here if there's any other further questions beyond this. I really feel that you can thrive in spite of fear if you have a plan, you have your tools, gratitude, energy, acceptance on repeat, a plan and a vision and a network of like-minded people. Fear does not stand a freaking chance. So go live your life, because tomorrow is not promised to anyone.
So true. So true. Thank you, Wendy. And I just dropped our link in the chat as well for Lead Up for Women. We created a video. It's about 20 minutes. And yes, I created it 20 minutes on purpose. Some people are like, you know, our attention span's like 5 minutes for people. It's like, well, we have an 8-minute video you can watch too, but this one goes into depth and it has some of our members in it, because it was really built as a webinar style for you to understand what is Lead Up for Women. You've heard a lot about us today, but you know, we give women these opportunities like Wendy and our other members to step forward and teach their genius. And so I just, I think it's important for you to learn about groups. And I also, like Wendy said, agree with her. You really need to make sure you find people to surround yourself with, whether it's in a community like Lead Up for Women, whether it's in a community of friends that you have that are local, a mentorship, whatever it is crucial to your growth. It is crucial to your growth for you to be in that community, and you've got to find the tribe that's right for you. Know what your core values are. Know what your guiding principles are. Find one that matches that. You know, there's so many awesome opportunities out there. And Wendy, you just look so gorgeous today. I love your necklace.
Oh, sweet.
Absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
I love how Wendy shows up and stands out, because we're not meant to fit in, ladies. So we're meant to stand out. This is your opportunity to stand out. Remember, when all the other ladies at your career and your job or work are being negative, you stand out and be the positive one. And like Wendy said, they will, you know, lead up and follow you. So Wendy, thank you so much. I'm honored to have you lead us this morning. And ladies, you get to do this twice a month. We bring women in twice a month. So on the 2nd and the 4th Tuesday, you can sign up. So you can go to our website right now and sign up for the next one that we have coming up the end of September. And then by the end of the week, we will have the one coming up for October on the 2nd Tuesday. So we welcome you to join us and learn these fun tools of our members coming forward and teaching you every single month. Wendy, thank you so much again for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, and I want to say too, the person that asked about a mentor, I mean, within this group, I'm sure there are mentors and coaches within the Lead Up Women group that you could start with reaching out to. And I think that would also be just a really great place to start. I know this network has been incredible, and I'm grateful to have been here today and be part of the Lead Up community. So thank you, Colleen, for creating it, such an amazing platform, and everything that you do. You're such an inspiration. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And yes, we have all types of programs within Lead Up for Women for mentorship, as well as so many women within Lead Up for Women that are also coaches and mentors. So it's a great opportunity for resources. So thank you, Wendy, for plugging that for us. Appreciate it. All right, ladies, have a wonderful rest of your week. I can't believe we are already in September. My neighbor put up their Christmas lights. I don't know why, because they're probably going to be told to take them down, because the HOA is going to say, sorry, Charlie, you can't have your lights up. But I think they're really just trying to spread cheer. And so, you know, what type of light can you spread this week with those around you? So Wendy, thank you for shedding this light on us this morning. And happy late Labor Day to everyone who's in the United States. I know many of you are outside of the United States and in other countries, but just trust yourself, trust your intuition. You guys are going to be awesome. So thank you guys for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your week.